Good morning, everyone. This particular story, Into the Wild, has been written by Kiran Purandare, who was born in 1961. This particular book, Umbarzara, has been written by him after he spent 400 days in the forests of Naxira, mentioning his experiences that he underwent when he was in these jungles. This is an award-winning book, and the writer here vividly describes in detail about one such experience that he undergoes when he is in the forest of Umbarzara. Kiran Purandare is a writer. He is also an avid bird watcher, as well as he is associated with several organizations that deal in conservation of forests. In the story, Kiran Purandare in detail describes his experience of having been lost in the jungle during the time of dusk, when it is getting dark, and the terrifying ordeal that he undergoes at that particular time. He also gives us a vivid description of how he finally managed to reach the village Pitezari where he was stationed. Now, without much ado, I would like to present before you this beautiful narration, Into the Wild, Part 1. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed watching and listening to this presentation.
The narrator had just completed 8.5-hour long day inside his hide, that is the place built to look like its surrounding, in the dense Umbarzara jungles. He had finished his day's work after taking entries in his notebook of the various species of birds found in a particular region or habitat. He needed to return back to his village, Pitezari, where he was stationed. He covered his tent with dry leaves, took out his essential items, stretched his body, and started walking back the familiar path to reach his village, Pitezari. He needed to walk carefully without making any sound, as there could be wild animals lurking nearby. So he had to be as watchful as a fox, because he was aware of the fact that he could be suddenly attacked by wild animals. He had to keep his eyes and ears open to save himself from animals who could catch him unawares if he was not alert. All of a sudden, a familiar sound shocked him and made him stop dead on his tracks. Kyak, kyak, kyak. It was a langoor's alarm, telling him that there was danger lurking nearby. The leader of the gang of langoors was sitting on the tall tree, making alarm calls out of fear for life. All the other langoors joined in, continuing to raise the danger signals. The narrator instinctively knew that all this disturbance was created because of only one animal's presence in the vicinity, a leopard. The langoor is most reliable when it comes to finding clues about the presence of the topmost predators in the jungle. The majestic huge leopard of Umbarzara was out of its den. The alarm calls of the langurs continued loud and clear. The narrator stayed put in one place. He tried to calculate the target site where the leopard could be and also scanned the area. He walked a few steps and stopped. He noticed fresh droppings of an animal on the path and was sure that the leopard was nearby. He could also clearly hear the distant alarm calls of the four-horned antelope, which was adding to the chaos. The narrator instantly realized that at this very moment he had quite clearly entered the exact region or territory of the leopard. But the big cat was nowhere to be seen. He kept remembering that he was all alone. He continued swiftly down the trail and in some time encountered a man standing at a distance with a stick in his hand. This man was Raju Iskape from Pitezari village. He had come to collect firewood but was equally startled and afraid after having heard the alarm calls of the langurs and other animals, and that is when had decided to retreat and head back to his village. They stopped under a kusum tree to take a break. They both felt relaxed. After a while, they continued walking. Upon reaching a fork, both of them decided to take different routes. Raju took a different trail and the narrator continued to walk on the same path. He climbed a familiar hillock and after climbing down, took another trail. He walked across a beautiful mahua tree loaded with reddish-brown leaves. The ground under the tree was cleaned very well. It was then that he suddenly realized he had lost his way. He found another dusky trail which took him through a narrow gully between the hillocks to an open field. The area was surrounded by hillocks of dry deciduous forests. The narrator turned back to the spot and watched the sun. His walking trail had vanished. He realized with fear that by now he was completely lost in this jungle. He tried desperately to get his exact location, but deep down he already knew that it was wishful thinking. The narrator was lost, completely lost in this jungle. The sun was melting down like a fleeting runner. He felt like screaming out, but there was no one to listen to his sound in this wilderness. The blossoming boxwood trees, the boop-boop sound of the cuckoo bird, the song of the robin bird, all sounded alien to him because of his extreme extreme fear. His mind kept telling him to turn back to the trail that he had left, but unfortunately, when he looked back, he was not able to find his trail. He had no choice but to keep climbing the hillock before him, when he, by chance, happened to notice the droppings of the sloth bear. Oh my God! This made him aware about the sloth bears of Umbarzara coming out at this hour, sniffing for food. He became fully alert and started running down the hillock. After around 50 steps, he found a bright red soil trail. There were marks of bicycle wheels on this trail. His heart leapt with joy. There must be a village nearby, he reassured himself. Many questions kept popping up in his mind. He climbed one more hillock. On reaching the top, his heart leapt with joy. He could hear the sounds of people talking on a loudspeaker. He ran down the hill towards the sound. The signs of civilization became visible. The tiny, sleepy village of Pitezari was visible in front of him. The lantern at Rajaram Bhalavi's farm, the loudspeaker installed for Keshav Bhalavi's marriage, all were in clear sight. As he approached the village, the dog got up, barked, and ran to welcome him. There still exists a jungle where we can get lost. Isn't this our good luck? It was a great relief for the narrator to have returned safely back to his village. The first thing he did was take a long bath to clean himself. That helped him to calm his shaken up nerves. He then sat down and had his dinner to his heart's content, as he had been starving. And then finally he fell down on his cot, dead tired. Talking to himself while gazing at the star-studded sky, he felt this generation was indeed lucky that there still exists a jungle where they can get lost. Wasn't that a wonderful presentation, a beautiful narration that has been taken from the excerpt Sakha Nagzira by Kiran Purandare. This presentation has been prepared by Mrs. Sujata Ali. Thank you once again and have a great day.